want to thank our sponsor, Parati's Quality Meats, located in Cranford, New Jersey, serving customers all over New Jersey for the past 50 years. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Coach's Talk, presented by the Shore Football Report. You know who I am. I'm Coach Rob Davis, and today we have a very special guest, Keyport Red Raiders head football coach, Jason Glezmen. Coach, thank you for coming to the show.
Coach Davis, Shore Football Report, it is up and running. You are absolutely crushing it right now with these coaches' talks. And I got to say, I don't get nervous for much, but I feel like there's a little bit of pressure. I watch Coach Bird. I watch Coach Spence. These are good friends of mine. They also crushed it. So I feel like, they set the bar pretty high. And I'm going to do my best to be as entertaining and as captivating as those guys were.
Hey, Coach, you're a coach as well as I am and all those other guys, but we're creating competition. And when we do the interviews, we're competing against every program, see who gets the most views. And I have a top 20 that I'm going to be presenting on The Football Shore Report, who's got the best social media followings. So we're going to have some fun with it. Yeah, so I'm not going to lie, the pressure is on you and the Keyport community. But I know you have a great following. They follow me on all my other social medias. So let's get going real quickly with this stuff here. Let me introduce you first, and then we'll get into all that other stuff here. Coach Glezmen, who I've known back in the day when you were recruiting our athletes, but I'll get to it right here. And I have a lot of respect for you, seeing you as a college coach and now back in the Shore Conference doing what you do. And I want to make sure everybody knows your background here today in the interview. Coach Glezmen is the head football coach at Keyport for the last 3 years. This is your third year. 3 years prior, you were the defensive coordinator. Before that, you were Plainfield head football coach for 2 years. Prior to that, you were at St. Francis University, a D1 AA school, where you were the defensive back coach for 3 years and at the end, co-special teams coordinator, correct?
Yes, sir.
Coach, love the fact that you recruited. Now, you had a wide base of recruiting, and you could talk about that later. But I know you recruited the Shore Conference as well as the state, and that's how you got known by a lot of coaches in the Shore Conference with that. And then before that, you were at Spotswood for 1 year, right out of college, as an assistant receiver DB. That's a nice little quick journey. What you did. I mean, you're real young. You hit a lot of different spots. You had a lot of responsibilities being coordinators and head football coaches at the real young age where you have a great, bright future. Let's lead right into the process right now. Let's get right into it and let you talk about your resume. This part is very special to me and my fan base. I want people to hear how you got to be the head football coach at Keyport High School. You just didn't snap a finger. You just didn't walk into the office and say, there's an opening, let me have it. You had to win that moment in the interview. And everything you did led up to your resume to get you that job. I really believe that. Everything you do is like putting a penny in the bank, and then you cash out right there. And that's like as an athlete coach, when you're interviewing maybe for a open spot in college, or a head football coach or an assistant coach, or even your job. So right now, I want to hear the process. Walk us through your resume from the first time you put that mouthpiece in your mouth and now became the head football coach at Keyport. Go ahead.
It's exciting, right? The process, right? I remember when we were talking about getting together, doing this, and thinking about this question. And I wanted to make sure, there's so many different people that I've learned from over the course of, the past 15, 18, 20 years. And, I think you nailed it, right? There's so many things that have got me to this point today, being the head football of Keyport. Mm-hmm. And I love this town. I love being the head football coach here. And there's so much that went into it. And a lot of it's learning. I never in my life have pretended to be somebody that knows everything, because I don't. And I think it's important that, as we get older and as we're learning and we're growing in our jobs, our professions, or, on the football field, you got to be able to absorb the information that's given to you. And, as I think about the process, I think about all those stops that you mentioned, but I think about the people and all the people that have helped kind of mold and shape me to be the person that I am today. and the process itself, it's got to start back in high school, right? High school football. Anybody that's here has probably played high school football. Had a very unique experience in high school. I went to Mater Dei, and I played a lot, but we didn't win a lot. So, it's when, we were losing. I learned so much about myself in those 4 years, how to battle adversity, how to, develop a work ethic. And then that work ethic is how you then develop your confidence, right? And, two guys specifically, at Mater Dei, John Corneliuson, who's the offense coordinator at Rumson right now.
Successful offensive coordinator at Rumson. Yeah.
And then the other guy, Kevin Smith, who who's worked with you for, I don't know how long you guys.
Very loyal assistant coach for many, many years. And he's back on the sidelines as the OC at Barnegat. I'm real excited for him.
I was making fun of him at the 7-on-7 the other day, seeing him on the offensive side. It don't look right, but I get it. He's a great coach. And I just think about the way those two guys, we had a lot of adversity at Mater Dei, and we didn't win the most games, but we fought for everything. We worked so hard, and those two guys helped instill that workman's mentality that I had. Because I was never the most talented guy. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the strongest, but I always put in the time. And those guys helped me kind of see that. And they also helped me build my confidence as a football player that, I can be more than just a guy on the team. I could be somebody that can, help the team. I can, impact games. And those two guys, I think about when I took my first head coaching job, I thought I was young, but I think those two guys were like 23, 24 when they took that job. Mater Dei graduates, alumni coming back, giving back to the program.
I remember playing, Coach. I remember playing you guys in a scrimmage. I don't know if you remember. We were
senior year.
Okay,
before you guys were full time
at Barnegat. I started getting a little. What's the word? I wanted to see where we were at because I had them in the middle school level. I moved up with the freshmen, and then I had them with the JV, only sophomores and freshmen, and we wanted to play Mater Dei's varsity program. Under the lights at our place, which we won 21-0. You didn't play any game.
Broken wrist. 3 metacarpals.
I always bust Coach Smith's chops about that. Like I said, when he would talk, I said, "Hey, we beat you last time we played you, so stop." But Mater Dei put a little bit of a number on us many years later. With everybody else too. But I remember playing you guys, and that was a huge moment for our program that we were promoting our program, saying, "Hey, next year we're going to be varsity," and we showed our kids that we can compete with Mater Dei in a scrimmage with that. But that was a good time for us.
We go back. Yeah. So those two guys are so big and important. And then, the next phase for me is I had the opportunity. I was recruited out of high school, and I ended up going to Fairleigh Dickinson University, where Rich Mosca is a short conference guy.
Awesome.
Coach Mosca was my head coach there all 4 years. And, if I learned my work ethic at Mater Dei from Smith and Cornelius, and I learned my love and passion for the game from Coach Mosca. That guy is so infectious with his energy and his enthusiasm every single day for 4 years. I remember he was a defensive backs coach my freshman year. Our first meeting after practice, these camps, college camps, like, oh my God, it's so long. We were in meetings from like about 8 to 11 o'clock at night because he had filmed indie drills. And we watched every single rep of every indie drill. And the first time I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this much. Like, we're literally watching everything. And then, this was a routine. And there came a point in my freshman year where I realized this wasn't like him trying to make everybody perfect. This is his passion for the game. That guy, Coach Mosca, could watch football film probably all day. If you get a clicker, you and him, you could sit down, you could just pull up the game, and you could just talk about technique and scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And, those 4 years at FDU were great.
Mm-hmm.
I really had a lot of success. I was team captain my senior year. It was a great time at FDU. Had some big wins, a lot of fun playing, and really the love for the game really started to establish. College is difficult, right? D3 or D1. I mean, you got to put in the work. And if you don't have a love and passion, if you don't have a love and passion for the game, if you can't enjoy watching film, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to maintain that. So, Rich Mosca, Coach Mosca, I owe so much to that guy. Right out of college, I spent the year with Andy Camerano at Spotswood University, Spotswood High School in Middlesex. And I was a 22-year-old kid right out of school. I was doing my student teaching that year, and Coach Cam, I had a friend on the football team at FTU that was also coaching there. Coach Cam took me in, and something that he said to me, this was about 11 years ago, and it still stays true to me because it's something I believe in as a head coach now. When we were talking about what he needed from me, he told me, he said, I want you to coach your position. And I want you to develop a relationship with the guys in your position. Learn the scheme, learn, the playbook, the offense and the defensive playbook, okay? But my biggest priority for you is to teach and coach up your position and develop a relationship with those guys. And to this day, that's something I now tell my assistant coaches because, I'm the head coach, right? I have a lot to do and this, that, everything that comes with that. But really, you think about, the position coach, that's really the go-to. That's the contact, right? If a guy is struggling in his position, he should be able to go to his position coach and have that conversation. And, those are the guys that they're spending the most times with. So I just remember Coach Camp saying that to me. And to this day, it's something that has just stuck with me. And it's just it's such a very obvious point. Just coach your position, develop a relationship. But at the time, as a 22-year-old kid, I wasn't thinking that way. I was like, okay, I got to learn. Coach Cam has revolutionized the wing tee. He's, but I'm like 800, 900, 100, 200, 40 series, 30 series, trying to learn all this stuff, and I'm struggling. And he just said, just coach your position up, coach him up, develop a relationship. And that was awesome. That was a great year, right out of college, kept me busy. And then I was getting ready for my second year at Spotswood. My offense coordinator from FDU, Rich DeMeo, who's now at Edinburgh University as the offense coordinator, he called me up on July 28th. Called me and said, Glez, what's up? I go, hey, Coach, how you doing? I'm just getting ready for camp. We start camp in a week or two. He goes, let me ask something. Do you want to coach Division I football? I was like, yeah, of course, sure. So St. Francis University got put in a position where their graduate assistant ended up leaving a week before camp.
Wow.
So my offense coordinator, Rich DeMeo, his best friend from Robert Morris when he went to college was the defense coordinator, a guy by the name of Jake Nolf, who's now the head coach at Edinburgh University today. I spent about 4 hours on the phone with Jake Nolf, Coach Nolf. We were talking football, X's and O's, scheme. He's like, all right, I'm going to call you back in about an hour. Calls me back. He goes, listen, Richie vouched for you. Richie put his name. I want to give you the job. I'm like, oh, that's incredible. I'm like, Coach, this is fantastic. I can't wait. Wow, this is great. Right. 6 hours away. Not a really big deal to me. I'm 22, 23.
Wow.
And so this was a Friday. And I go, Coach, can I just listen, this is kind of unexpected. Can I just kind of make sure I got everything in order? He goes, listen, take what you need, but I need you here Monday. This is Friday.
Yeah.
So I took care of what I needed to.
Right.
Got a trailer, drove 6 hours west. Didn't know where I was living really. Didn't know the area. Didn't know much about the school. But I saw this as an opportunity, and I took it. And honestly, that decision was the best thing I ever did in terms of my football coaching and developing in this profession. Because while I was at St. Francis, I got to learn from three guys. Chris Valerio, who's the head coach of St. Francis. St. Francis was a program that was a perennial loser. Well, they were the doormat of the NEC. And during my time there, and under Coach Valerio, who was an all-pro guard, at the time is one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL when he played for, I think, 13 years. We took that program and we kind of rebuilt it, and to the point where he's won an NEC championship. He's winning these money games that he's going to play against. So I got to learn from him, but specifically Jake Nolf, who's the head coach now at Edinburgh University, and Scott Benzel, who's the head coach at Westminster College. I got to work with these guys, and I learned so much from them. And their attention to detail, everything had to be right. Everything, if we wanted to run a defense, it had to be run correctly to any and every single thing the offense could put out. And I just remember, I'm learning this defense in a week before camp starts, and we're drawing up. We got on the board, and we got like the 16 boxes on the board, drawing everything, every defensive scheme against every offensive formation, against every offensive concept, and just their attention to detail and their passion for the game and the way that they coached. They coached every little detail. And for those 3 years, I got to learn from those two guys. And I'm like a semi-extension because they learned under one of the greatest football minds I've ever met, Bad Rad, Dan Radakovich. So Coach Rad, who recently passed away, I got a chance to meet with him and work with him a couple times. He started linebacker U at Penn State. He was part of the Pittsburgh Steelers with Coach Null and the Steel Curtain. So those two guys learned from him. I'm learning from them. And those 3 years, I got to coach Division I football. I got promoted to full-time. I got to be a co-special teams coordinator. I got to recruit an entire state. But just watching the way that those guys worked and the way that they taught every little detail. And my assistant coaches hate me sometimes because this is something that I've inherited. It's just like, well, it's got to be right. It has to be right. We have to do it right. We have to make sure we get even the first step. If the first step isn't right on our run concepts, do it again. If we're doing defensive back Indy, if they're not taking their read steps, whistle, do it again. Because every little attention to detail matters. And for those 3 years, I was working, but really it was like a second college for me because I got to just learn from these guys. And we got to play. We played against North Dakota State. We played at James Madison. We played against all these high-end programs. And we started winning at St. Francis. The doormat was now finishing in third in the conference. The doormat was now finishing second in the conference. So to be a part of that was really incredible.
Yeah.
But it was 6 hours away, and it's in Western Pennsylvania.
I hear you. Yeah.
and I am a Jersey guy.
So now, so you got some quality experience, and now as you're getting older, you want something different, which leads you to what?
Plainfield, right? So, I was itching to kind of get back into Jersey. Coach Benzel took the job at Westminster. Coach Nolf went with him, and I didn't want to leave a 1AA job, for something further west. Starting to look at coming back home. 25 years old, 26 years old, looking to come back home, got this experience. So I just blanket apply to a bunch of jobs, right? Wow. Just assistant jobs, trying to line up a teaching job with it. Plainfield High School calls me for an interview. I go on the interview. I get called back for a second interview. And the shock and amazement that I got that job, I was shocked. I was amazed. I felt so much gratitude for them giving me that opportunity. And that was a school in itself that also had some struggles the past couple of years, and trying to, develop some consistency. So, I was only there for 2 years. But I will say this, the 2 years that I was there at Plainfield, eye-opening experience. Because I came in as this college kid thinking, okay, well, I learned from the best. I know this, I know that, I know every detail X's knows. I could scheme anything up, or at least that's what I thought going into it.
Right.
And then I'm playing a schedule against Westfield. Yeah. Right. And I'm playing against Coach Tracy at Ridge. And I'm playing against these guys that have been doing this head coaching thing in the high school level for a long time. And those 2 years for me, and we had some success. We were winning games. We were competitive. In those 2 years, I sent 8 guys to college, which I'm very proud of. Those guys got to go play college football, excel on a high level. A lot of pride in that. But those 2 years, it was a learning experience for me. And I kind of step back and reflect. Maybe you don't know everything, man. You need to have support around you. You need to make sure you got the right people around you. So those 2 years of Plainfield were great. There's some things I definitely wish I could have done differently. But, that's part of learning and growing as a person. And after the 2 years of Plainfield, I applied for a teaching job at Keyport. And I got the teaching job. I didn't even really apply, with football in mind. I was just looking for kind of a change of scenery. Spent 2 years in Plainfield.
Get closer to home. Yeah.
Right. If I can teach in the shore, what a great opportunity that would be, because maybe it would open up some other things.
Right.
I get the teaching job. Jay Graham was the head coach here at the time. And the year before, they had a lot of success. They went to the semis and the playoffs. And I remember sitting with Jay for a little bit, and I was like, I think I can help you. And I'm not asking for a paid position or anything like that. I don't know if you have a paid position, but if you want to sit and talk. We sat and talked. He goes, "You want to run the defense?" I was like, "I would love to run the defense." He goes, "All right, you're running the defense." We sat for like 2 hours, and he felt confident in that moment that I could handle it. And we had one heck of a year. We went 9-1, 10-1 on the regular season. We went to the state finals, played against Asbury Park, lost to them in the second half. But what an incredible year to come into Keyport, seeing it at its best, at its top, right? Winning all these games, the support, the crowd, the town itself is alive when the football team is winning here. I remember that state final game, just that whole bleacher at Kane was just filled, red and black, all the banners, all the alumni. Incredible experience. First year at Keyport. I'm like, I can get used to this.
Right.
Following year we go 1-9. It's just the way it is sometimes.
The way it is in high school.
Right. It's cycles, right? It comes in cycles sometimes. So Coach Graham, after that year, he stepped down. I didn't really have head coaching in mind that year. I was very much enjoying just getting to coach, right? Because I do understand that, especially at Plainfield and the learning experience that I had there, that, being a head coach, it's not just being good X's and O's. There's a lot of other stuff that you got to take care of, whether it's communication with parents, whether it's, academic progress, whether it's, just making sure that your guys are representing themselves and their families in the program in a positive light. I learned so much. So when Jay stepped down, I wasn't really thinking, head coach at Keyport. That wasn't something that was really on my mind. Andy Carlstrom came in that year. He kept me on staff as the defensive coordinator. That was the year we played each other. We came down to you guys, had a nice competitive, back and forth. That was a physical football game. That's what I remember from that. You guys were running just kind of like your lead zone with that fullback, and we were there was just a lot of fun that
it was
game.
It was a game where you didn't go away. You didn't go away because we had momentum of the game, and I thought at the point that we were going to be able to make it a 35 running clock, but you didn't let it get that point. So I think, what was the score? 28-7? 28-14,
or there was a late score at the end there that swung it, but
swung it. Yeah. It was like I thought at one point that we were going to get to, and you didn't let it get to it, and it became a grind later in the.
Yeah, and that's a testament to like the Keyport kid.
Yeah,
like. All coaches know that their kids are tough. Any kid that's playing football knows that their kid is tough.
Oh, yeah.
But there is something now, going on my 6th year here at Keyport. There is something about the kid that plays football here. There is just a toughness to them where even if they're looking at the kid in front of them that's, might be bigger, might be more skillful, there's no backing down. And that game kind of was like that. You guys got an early jump. You guys were going no huddle, boom, boom, boom. But our guys just stood in there, right? We're not stepping back. We're just going to keep stepping forward.
You had a couple athletes that at any time could make the game interesting.
So that was Andy's year here at Keyport. We went to the playoffs that year. We had a good senior group. And then Andy didn't come back. And then, here I am again in this position. And the one thing I've noticed, because at Keyport, right? You hear Keyport, you're thinking Coach Ciccatelli, right? The guy that was here for
legend,
30 plus years, state titles,
Cattouse,
all of them, right? And Coach Chick has been great to me since I've been here. I've had the privilege of eating dinner with him a couple of times. Nothing but just complete support and just.
Does he still come around? Does he still come around to the practice games?
Yeah, occasionally here and there. He's got a great gig right now. He's working at one of the country clubs up by Clark. But he's I usually get to see him about 3 or 4 times a year. COVID aside. Mm-hmm. And it's a big group of us, right? So it's me, it's Graham, it's Coach Chick, it's Mark Chick, it's Efron, it's all these alumni that have played. And I just sit and watch and observe and I listen and I just hear everything about Keyport, right? So, when you think of Keyport football, you think of Coach Chick and you think about all the consistency that he brought. Now, as Coach Karlstrom doesn't come back, I'm looking, all right, Coach Chick. John Petchkowski was here. Yeah. Coach Petch, another good friend of mine.
He was my college teammate. Yep.
Okay, there we go. And I didn't get to work with Coach Petch, but we were both here at the same time. We developed a good friendship. We talk frequently, but he was here for, I think, 3 years or 2 years. And then Coach Graham was here for 2 years. And then Coach Karlstrom was here for 1 year. And here I'm at, I've gotten tenure now as a teacher. And I'm going to be coaching here. I love coaching here. Mm-hmm. So, I applied for the job. I took a chance. I thought, what? I think I've learned enough from my past experiences. I feel comfortable enough in this town that I have the support around me to kind of accomplish what I think we can accomplish. I applied for the job. Mr. Flynn, our athletic director, Mr. Waters, Dr. Savoya, they felt that I was a suitable candidate, and they have given me this opportunity. I'm on my 3rd year now.
That's awesome.
And I just get more comfortable each year. The first year I'm a little anxious. Last year was COVID, was a story in itself. Yeah. But this year I feel very comfortable here, just because I know the town. I know where we can get help. I know where we can get support. I know the administration is going to support us. It's what you want as a head football coach. You want to feel that support around you, because I don't have every answer and I can't do everything myself. But if I can get other people to come help us out, well, then that's a place that I want to be. So
that's awesome.
How did I do? Process. There we go.
Coach, that was great. I got a couple of things. I always write down notes when you guys talk. I love hearing of some of the stuff. When you talk details, I was thinking of my wife. Because she's the most detailed person, because she wants something done a certain way. And in her head, if it's not a certain way, it's an argument. And that's that. She is so detailed. I call her, I tell people all the time that I don't need Google, because I could just ask my wife. She knows all the answers. So that is that. The other thing I was listening to you talk was, I was just imagining, because you have so much respect and so much appreciation for the game of football and who raised you with football. You just being that young football player on Matter Day in the locker room sitting down. Could you just imagine somebody telling you on the side when you were sweaty and didn't want to practice, hey, a couple of years you're going to be a head football coach somewhere. Could you imagine that?
Because I Keyport nonetheless.
because there are players in the short conference right now that will be head football coaches like you and me and all the other guys in a couple years, and they don't realize it. So stay the path. Good things will happen to people. And that, to me, I love hearing those type of things, because it just makes things, you appreciate a lot more stuff. You were talking about consistency, and that is important. I always say it's a lot easier to get that great season, but the hardest thing to do is to stay at that level, to be consistent at a top level. At Barnegat, I prided myself this, because, you get teams that dip to 0-11, maybe a couple wins here or there. In the last 11 years at Barnegat, we've had one losing record. And I think that was something that I was so proud about, because at Barnegat, it was showing that we were consistent in what we were doing. When other teams would be, top 10 and then be 0-10 or 1-8 or 1-9. Consistency is very important to me, like how you come to practice. And then you talked about Coach Petchkowski. Coach Petchkowski is a good friend of mine. And again, you talk about coaching trees and your circle of friends that you have. Coach Pack was a GA at Maryland. Yep. And he called me up. He goes, Mouse, my name was Mouse in college. He goes, I want you to come up to Maryland and hang out with us for a couple days. Well, Did I realize that the connections that I was going to make there were going to help me at a high school that I was coaching at? No. Guys like John Donovan. John Donovan was he just became the running back coach that week because Jim O'Brien left. Jim O'Brien from New England. Well, John Donovan was there. They had a guy by the name of Franklin, Coach Franklin. Remember him at Penn State? All those guys, and Friedgen, all those guys, I kept in connection with through the years at Barnegat because I stayed there for 3 days with them while he was the GA and all that stuff. Pitzkowski opened the doors a lot for me as a football coach, and that was a great connection you and I have with that. And you're doing stuff for other people that you're going to create doors for other young coaches too in the future. So I always think that the process is something special because it really opens the doors on how you got there, and it also gives some people some hope that maybe that could happen for me too. Just stay positive. Everything you do is like putting a penny in the bank, I always say, and then you can cash out for your job. It could be a head coach. It could be maybe in a marriage, whatever it is, your resume will be brought to the table one day because people will bring back good and bad things. It could be a relationship. It can be anything you want. And you were talking about relationships as a player. That's what I miss the most as a coach is the relationship. So I got to do this more on social media, but everything you do is about people's feelings, people's hopes, people's drives, people's dreams, and you want to feed off it. And that was really nice process that you did, Coach. All right, Coach, now I want to talk about last year's COVID, but I want to take this thing, throw it onto the ground. I don't ever want to see a mask again. The COVID, we all know as football coaches what all the negative stuff was about the COVID. I want this part here. I want you to tell people something positive that you picked up last year coaching in the COVID as a young coach, something that we can take from a COVID season, but only in the positive with the Keyport community.
Yeah, it's jokingly, pods, phases, they're gone. Right, we don't have to ever think about those words again in our summer
knock
scheduling.
On wood.
Yep, knock on the wood there. It's kind of like a twofold thing, right? So I think in the moment of COVID, we said this every week. Be grateful that you're out here. Be grateful that you have the opportunity to do it. I was so happy that it was 6 games, right? And last year we had kind of a senior heavy class. Would have liked to get a full schedule with them, giving them some more opportunities, but they got the opportunities to play. So the positive is right there because, we can't lose sight of the fact that the spring when COVID started, those athletes didn't get to participate. They didn't get their senior year of baseball, their senior year of track. So, for our football players this year, I'm very happy, or this past year, I'm just happy that they got to be out there because you know what? And we lived it. We lived what we taught because we played Mattawan week 6. We're getting ready for pod play the following week, but then we got hit with COVID. And that was a 2-week quarantine. And at that point, our season was over. Just like that. Like we didn't know when we were leaving Mattawan that was the last time we were together as a team and as a family. So, I'm very grateful that we got the opportunity. And I think now you take that as well and you apply it now. I think people can appreciate how much they love this game.
Yeah.
And can appreciate how much they love the return of normalcy. Yeah. Because, I think the enthusiasm that we have day in and day out, I think it's a lot of the kids, but I think a lot of it they have in the back of their mind, hey, I'm here with all my teammates. I don't have to wear a mask. I don't have to bring my own water bottle. I can use the locker room. So kind of like a twofold aspect to it, grateful that we got the season in, grateful that we got the seniors those memories that they deserve. But then at the same time now, being just appreciative of just being back to normal. It feels so good. It feels
Coach,
so
good. That is awesome. How you guys I presented that with the guys. I told the guys this: we're all in it together. So I didn't want it to make it look like I knew everything in that because we were all learning and we were all watching the same news. Right? It's amazing how many people in my life were experts with COVID. My friends on Facebook, this and that, telling me that we all didn't know. We just putting our spin on things, but we were all in it together. What I told the kids was our goal was to get on the football field. and you are entertainers. When you're on the football field, you have no problems in the world when you're on the field. That's what we always tell the kids. And at Barnegat, sometimes at night, you'll see a kid on a football field. If I'm driving by, and what's the matter? I got problems at home. I just kind of, when you're on the football field, and I do the same thing, maybe walk the track. It's just a mindset that there's no problems in the world. When you step off, then you have them. And I said, those fans, when they come to the games with all the COVID in their lives, when they're watching you play, that's the most important thing in the world. And they kind of shut off all the negative stuff in their lives. So that was our goal in our program for COVID was we want to do what we have to do. No, wear the mask, be safe. But when we're on that field, entertain our parents, entertain the fans, do something because they felt like it was important to be on that field. And that was important for us on how we presented it with COVID because we all had the same issues. And it did. COVID is something that nobody's joking around about. It did affect all the communities, and and our prayers are with everybody with that. But now we want to try and get back to normal. Coach, that's an awesome take you did on COVID. Okay, Coach. Now we are going to talk 2021 Keyport High School football schedule, and then on our right side, the newly formed national division that a committee of people put together. We'll talk about that in a second. But on the left-hand side, can you please talk a little bit about your schedule?
Yeah, so it's the one thing that's unique about Keyport as well as Keensburg and Point Beach's schedule is the doubling up on the Group 1s in the schedule. So that's that has intensified what I believe are two very rivalries, two big rivalries, right, for us. I'll start, just taking a look at week 0. 2 years ago, we played Metuchen on a week 0 game. Had a very competitive game with them. We were scheduled to do it again last year with COVID. Obviously, that didn't happen week 0. But, this year we're running it back. Coach Jensen over there at Metuchen, he's kind of in a similar boat as us. It's a smaller school, just trying to establish some consistency there. For us, we look at it as a good opportunity for both of our programs to kind of start the season a little earlier for sure, but it's a good opportunity to go out and be competitive. We jokingly call it the battle over the Driscoll. So then we got we have Keensburg and Point Beach. We bookend that at the front and the back of our short conference schedule. Played Pinelands 2 years ago. We played Monmouth last year. Haven't played Lakewood, I don't think, in our program's history. I couldn't even tell you. But, playing those 3 teams, there is a little bit of familiarity there. And I know those 3 teams are hungry, right? That's what I love about our division.
Yes.
You got 6 teams here that are looking to win, right? They're looking to, establish themselves as the top dog in this division. And I think this division every year is open. That's what's exciting about it.
Yes. Looking at your schedule, the word pods, you're not playing in pods because you're duplicating 2 teams, all right? You're playing Keensburg and you're playing Point Beach, correct?
Yeah, playing them twice.
So you're not involved in the Shore Conference pod tournament that they do at the end to get your gains with that. And boy, I know that rivalry is pretty big with Keensburg. The Keensburg-Keyport rivalry is very, very big. And I got to see that firsthand the other year. Now, on the right-hand side, your division, like you said, Coach, is very interesting because you've been always at the lower – Keyport has always been one of the smaller schools in the Shore, have always played at the lower division. Now, you, Keensburg, and Point Beach inherited 3 other programs. Now, those programs are bigger schools. You have Lakewood, who's a Group 3, Monmouth is a Group 3, and Pinelands is a Group 3. So now you add those 3 with the teams of Point Beach, Keyport, and Keensburg, who have winning traditions, if not now, in the recent past. With these schools, you're making a very, very interesting division, right?
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun with the rivalries with Keensburg and Point Beach. Shout out to Coach Bird and Coach Saccone. Yeah. It's a bloodbath every time we play those teams. Whether we're winning or we're losing, the past 5 years have been they're some of my most fun games, Coach. And I got a lot of respect for those guys. They do a great job with their programs. And listen, with Lakewood, Monmouth, and Pinelands coming in, I know all three coaches. One thing I love about this division, all the head guys at each school, great guys.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk with them, have a great conversation with them. And they're all doing great things at their program.
Mm-hmm.
So, selfishly, I want to get to the playoffs this year.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get back in there. And if I'm looking at a Group 3 team on our schedule that could help us with getting some power points, let's go out and win that game, right?
Oh, Coach.
Yeah.
That's a lot of power points. A lot of power points sitting on the table for you. A lot.
Let's get those power points, right? And,
right.
Those aren't going to be given to us. And, those schools want to win just as much as we do. But, I've played the woe is me Group 1 card before. I mean, I played it in the past. I'm certainly frustrated sometimes, having to play up against schools. But, who cares? Stop making it I don't want to make an excuse anymore. I want to win these games. My first 2 years here at Keyport, we've had these significant victories, but then we have these losses that kind of fall flat. And what I'm looking forward this year is to see if our young group can take the step up, right? Go beat the group.
Coach, it's funny how you said that because Barnegat's been a Group 2 school. Yeah, and sometimes the perception out there is kids think, Group 2, Group 1 isn't good football. Well, here's what I say. We used to scrimmage Howell and Freehold Township. Corey Davies, good friend of mine, and we would play him, and he was kind of like, wow, yeah. There's no such thing as a Group 1 or Group 2 kid. There's no such thing. There's Group 1, Group 2 teams, and what that means, the pool of people may not be as much as you. So in other words, you need 11 players for football. You might have 32 kids on your team. You still might have great 11 players that can still play football. So the level of play is still very good. You just don't have a lot of pool of people to play, right?
Right. And it's, I've heard a couple people say it, but, somebody told me once, if you want to see how much you love coaching football, go coach Group 1. Because there are challenges sometimes, right? The drop off from 1 to 2 is a little bit more significant because our 1 to 2 might be a senior to a freshman at a position. So, it goes back to, though, as me as a coach is, you got to change things up. I coached at a Group 5 school. We had numbers. We had talent, right? So we had to do some things schematically to make ourselves better. Here at Keyport, Group 1, we got to change some things schematically so we can make sure that if there's a talent drop off, that there's not a drop off, in between the ears.
Coach, my philosophy was real simple with Group 2 because Group 2 is somewhat like Group 1. So we want to develop as many core players or what you would call program players and get them playing. We try and get the magic number 17. If you got 17 players that can play offense or defense, you're going to be very, very good. So sometimes we've had as many as 20. We want to try and go 2 platoon as much as possible. Now, the other teams got guys going both ways. Give me a player that's the same at the same position. I'll play him on offense and back him up on defense and vice versa. So when we have guys, like when you said we went no huddle against you, we would go, okay, we got guys going one way. Let's wear the other team out. And that's how we were successful, is building up those core players, because we wouldn't have a high pool of people to pick from. And if we were, and that would be our philosophy. And it worked most times than not, but that's what we would do. And that's the difference. Group 1, a lot of players play both ways. As you get into higher levels, some players split both sides or just play one side, right?
Yeah, it's a numbers game. Listen, in a perfect world, I'd love to go back to that state final team where we had, maybe 5 or 6 guys that were playing on both sides of the ball. But we haven't had those numbers, and we haven't had a class that big in 5 years. So I'm not going to keep sitting here dreaming and wishing and hoping that that's going to come when it's not here. We just got to make our adjustments. So I'm looking forward to the division this year. I'm looking forward to the new additions, and I'm definitely looking forward to the continued rivalries that we have, with Keyport and Keensburg, or Keensburg and Point Beach.
All right, now, Coach, we're going to talk about the guys that make you, as a head football coach, look very good. Your 2021 Keyport Red Raiders football coaching staff. I want to hear some names.
All right. Just right off the bat, I got so much respect for these guys. I am a pain in the butt sometimes. I overthink sometimes, but they are the voices that I need around me that we can collectively make a decision. So, I've been working with these guys all over 5 years, in some capacity or another. So I'll just start at the top. Coach Angelo Morocco, he is my offense coordinator. Me and him connected at Plainfield. So when I took that job at Plainfield, here I am, young, coach, thinking, I'll find the staff. That won't be a problem. So I'm interviewing a bunch of people for, to be my offense coordinator. Coach Morocco came in, and me and him hit it off.
Great.
He saw the game the way that I saw it. We actually played against each other. He was a center at Wilkes University when I was at FTU. So Coach Mo was my offense coordinator for 2 years at Plainfield. When I left Plainfield, he actually stayed, and he's still there. He's established himself as one of the, a huge presence and a leader in that school district, both with the teachers and the students. So I got a lot of respect for Coach Mo. He is the mad scientist. I call the offensive guys mad scientists. So he's like, Coach, you're a mad scientist.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Coach Mo is my offense coordinator. My defense coordinator is James McGuire. Now, the funny thing about the next three guys that I'm talking about is they're all Keyport alumni. And there's just something about this town where the alumni, the presence of the alumni, I'm rocking a KFAA shirt. Shout out to the Keyport Football Alumni Association. Yeah, a little selfless plug there, Coach. Sorry. But these next three guys on my staff, they're all alumni. And one of the things I love about the guys on my staff is, I hope they fit one or a couple of things, but, are they successful in their life right now as an adult? Like, do they have a job in which they are succeeding and excelling at, which they do? Did they play at a high level? Did they compete, or are they an alumni? Right. So Coach McGuire was an alumni. He played under Coach Ciccatelli. He was a quarterback, led the state in interceptions. He was a valedictorian of his school, of his graduating class.
Mm-hmm.
Coach McGuire was a guy I met. He was a volunteer my first year. He was a younger guy. And during that year, when we made that state final run, we were just connecting. And it's, I don't know, we share a lot of similarities, right? And, he just kind of kept taking everything that I was teaching, and I would watch him kind of go and do it, but also put his own spin on it, like make it presented as himself. Coach McGuire is he's a sponge, man. He gets in. He's so even keeled, right? I'm the maniac on the field sometimes, right? If we gotta do up downs, I'll do the up downs with the kids. Coach McGuire, he's the cool coach, man. He's hanging. He speaks so well to the kids. He has a great relationship when he communicates with them. Next guy is Coach Pete Miller. Coach Miller was the quarterback on the last team to win a state championship at Keyport under Coach Ciccatelli.
Right.
Coach Miller is our quarterback and offensive assistant. He played college baseball. He's also on the baseball staff as well. Another guy, an alumni that is working in the district, right? And he is coaching in the district. And he is a successful individual for these young men that we do coach to see, there's more than just high school football as a Keyport football player. There's more that you can do, and you could be very successful. And Coach Miller, another attention to detail guy. Over the last 5-6 years, I've seen this guy grow as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Alvarez is he's the young guy, right? I heard one of the guys on the staff on your past coach talks. You got to have a young guy, right?
Gotcha.
So Coach Alvarez, Tyler Alvarez, is our O-line and D-line coach. He played 4 years at William Patterson. Played under Coach Ciccatelli. That guy's got fire. He brings the energy every day.
Coach,
he is
William. I'm going to give a little perk to William Patterson. That was the best 12 years of my life being in college. Best 12 years at William Patterson.
So. Yeah, we've said some. I love what they're doing up there too. Coach Williams, great guy up there. Talk with him a lot. But Coach Alvarez is a younger guy. Works public works locally. So we get him right off his day job. Comes and grinds it with the O-line and D-line. And then another guy on my staff, Coach Jerry Horahan. He is the captain of the Matawan Police Department. He played at Matawan under Coach Martucci. He had an opportunity to play under Coach Callahan at Monmouth, but he took the route towards police work.
Wow.
But once again, we got a captain of the police department. He works with our O-line and D-line. And he is a presence, right? When Coach Jerry talks, like, you're listening, right? But he communicates well, right? And that's the thing. My assistants do what Coach Cam told me to do when I was an assistant, right?
Mm-hmm.
I tell these guys, like, listen, if there's got to be a jerk on the staff, there's got to be a guy that's got to, kind of get into the kids a little bit. Let me be that guy.
Yeah.
You guys build them up.
Yep.
You guys develop the relationships. And we as a staff, wins or losses, we just all can communicate very, very well with each other. And that's, I talked earlier about being comfortable. This is the most comfortable I've been as a head coach. This is my 5th year going to doing it. And a lot of it has to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't have that support, right, if I don't believe that they can get something done, well, then I'm going to feel like I have to do it, right, which is just going to stress me out, which is just going to make me lose more hair. And I don't have much left to lose, Coach. So, having these guys, with me day in and day out, working just as hard as me, if not harder, these guys, I'm indebted to them, right? I'm so grateful to have them, to be able to work with and call friends, right? We hang out, we talk. Some of them, their wives probably, I know that their wives I must drive them crazy because I feel like I probably talk to them a little bit too much sometimes. But great guys, all successful in different, aspects of their life, all coaching for the right reasons. They're not coaching to get a paycheck here. They're coaching because they want to contribute. They want to help these kids. They want to see these kids grow. They want these kids to develop, the memories that everybody wants to get from playing high school football.
That's awesome, Coach. You have to have a lot of wide range of personalities on a coaching staff. You all can't be the same mold because then, the kids won't relate to it. Like you said, you got to have that one young guy that the kids kind of might tell a little bit more stuff than Coach Davis because there's so many things in my program that I didn't know what was going on because they were fearful of telling me. But some other coach, the younger guys, kind of knew it because they knew their older brothers or their older sisters. Coach, that's an impressive staff that you have this season. All right, cool. Okay, now let's talk 2021 Keyport Red Raiders football team. But before you do that, Coach, I want you to be able to tell everybody what you guys run offensively and defensively, your schemes, and then start bragging about those key returning players that I know you were talking about on that 7-on-7. I saw a lot of those kids that I can't wait to hear about. So let's hear about your program.
All right. So, the scheme question, it's a very interesting question that, as we were talking about group one, I'm not so stuck in like a mold, right? Because I feel like as a coach, especially at a smaller school, you really got to build your scheme around the players that you have. The last 2 years, we were predominantly offensively shotgun, zone read, spread it out, let's chuck it. We had a quarterback that had a great arm.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of talented receivers the last couple of years. A lot of those kids have graduated. All right, so our offense is still based out of the gun, but we're going to be going a little bit more two-back this year.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll still have our one-back, 11 personnel stuff. A little bit more gap scheme as opposed to zone, but that I don't want to give out too much right now. But we'll work out of the gun still. But a big belief for me, especially offensively, is you really have to build your offense around the players that you have. And it's nothing against wing T guys or Delaware or single wing. I don't know those concepts as well as they do. And those guys know it. Like coaching against Coach Kaz is a pain in the butt because he knows that wing T up, down, left, and right. But, for me, each year we just try to, look at our self-scout. Let's evaluate where we had success. Mm-hmm. Let's evaluate the type of guys that we got coming in and make the adjustments where we need to. And then defensively, I would say we're base 4-3. We're base 4-3, safety rocking down in the box. With everything that we do, though, scheme-wise, we want to keep it simple for the kids, but we want to make it look dynamic, right? We want to look multiple. So, we just try to provide, this July, right? July and August, build the foundation. And then, as we get closer, let's put the window dressing on around it. And the reason my offensive answer isn't overly clear, just right now is because, we graduated 10 seniors last year. And this year's returning team, we have 5 kids that started a varsity football game. And I remember in the spring thinking, oh boy, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, I am so excited because the energy that this young group brings, right, is infectious. I get addicted to it. I just can't get enough of it. We have a young group. We only have 5 returning varsity players, but I cannot wait to see what these kids do because they work so hard. And they're led, 3 of the guys, right off the bat that, would be pretty obvious that played last year. DJ Thompson, he's a senior wide receiver. He is the youngest
one of the
Thompson
top receivers in the short conference coming back, Coach.
Yeah, 2-time all division, right? We're looking to hopefully get him bumped up into that all shore category this year, which, his statistics are through the roof. And he gets better every year. He really does. His sophomore year, I think he was just kind of a naturally talented guy going out there making some plays. But last year, you just saw his release at the line of scrimmage, the way he attacked the football. And, the other day at the 7-on-7, he was showing some things.
He was.
Right, taking it another level.
Coach, the thing I was impressed with him was just the conversation that him and I had. He came up to me and we were just talking about life in general, and he seemed to be pretty level-headed and very mature to go with his athletic ability. He's got a high ceiling.
He's got great perspective on everything. He's got a bunch of older brothers that have had a lot of success as well. I don't want to screw up their names. Connor played at William Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
Brian was an All-American D tackle at East Stroudsburg. Alex was an All-NEC quarterback at Wagner. So he's the youngest. He's coming up. He's seen his brother.
His brother was the quarterback?
Yeah, he was the quarterback at Wagner.
Okay.
He was. I'm pretty sure he was an all-conference quarterback, and then he was a grad transfer to Marshall.
Yeah.
His final
I know
2
who
years.
It is. Wow, I didn't know that.
So he knows what it takes, right? He knows he's got a lot of talent. He knows it runs in the family, but he continues to put in the work, and he continues to, just like you said, have a great perspective on all of this because he's a great basketball player too.
Good.
He's an all-shore basketball player. And he's got himself in a position where he's going to have a lot of opportunities at this year, as this year comes to a close. Whether he wants to go football or basketball, he's going to have a lot of options with that.
That's good.
So he's the guy that would stick out, right? If you wanted to know, like, what's Keyport football bringing this year, that's the guy that would definitely stick out. But there's a lot of other guys that are doing such a great job. Zavon Crank was a starting receiver and corner for us last year. He transferred from Mattawan High School after his sophomore year. And another kid, just like the way he presents himself, the way he carries himself, like I'm just proud that I get to coach a kid like that because he works so hard, and then when he has his success on the field, you feel really happy for the kid because he does everything right. Christian Acevedo is a returning tight end for us. We're looking to see him take it to the next level. John Vialis is a returning offensive lineman for us. He started at guard for us last year. We're excited to see him take it to the next level. We look at our senior guys as, those would be the two-way guys, right? Those are the ones that have the mature minds, have a better understanding of everything. A kid I'm very excited to showcase this year is Nazir Treadwell. He is our tailback. He started as a freshman last year. He can run. He could run. He's got great vision. But what I'm really excited about is he put on about the best 25 pounds I've ever seen a kid put on from freshman to sophomore year. So we are looking forward to showing him off to the rest of the short conference because I think you're going to hear that name a lot the next couple of years.
Well, that's going to open up the game for DJ too on the perimeter.
Yeah, we think we have some pretty really high-end talent at tailback and wide receiver, and that's always a good foundation to start.
Oh yeah.
When you're getting your summer workouts going. So
great.
Those two guys, and you know what? They're great kids. They're great young men. Just they work, they listen, they encourage, they lead. They're not the most vocal guys. They're not like the hoorahs of the world. But when they talk or when they say, "Hey, we're going to be there," the other kids are listening. And those two, DJ and Nas, I'm very excited to see, what they provide and what they can do this year. And then just got all these young kids coming up, man. There's just a lot of new faces, a lot of kids that don't have a ton of varsity experience, but boy, they're going to play. They're going to be successful too. I'm very confident in this group, and just because they put in the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've put in the work. And when you build that work, I keep saying this, I feel like I'm repeating, but when you put in the work, you develop confidence. And then that confidence should lead to success because it's the right kind of confidence. You're doing things the right way. And this young group we got is a group that I'm excited for this year. I'm excited for the next 3 years. This is a group that really, I think, can start getting this program, moving in the right direction for sure.
Coach, that's awesome. And continuity is real important because you're coaching not only the kids in the present, but you want to play in big games in the future. I always say this to the kids. How old were you 18 years ago? And they laugh at me. Coach, we weren't born. 18 years ago when I built this program, I didn't realize 18 years later we were going to be playing in the most important game of this program's career. Think of that. Think what you're doing. You're building stuff up for kids that don't even know who their coach is going to be or they're not born yet and all that stuff. So it's very, very important. And Keyport's got that tradition. Like you said, DJ Thompson had brothers that played in the program. You have coaches that have played in the program. You have Coach Ciccatelli, a legend who's still attached to the football program and giving you the good graces and all that stuff. So you have so much pride and tradition. And I loved watching you on the sidelines at Barnegat 7-on-7, the way you were talking with the guys through the heat of the moment stuff, but they were responding to everything you were saying. I remember that. This is how we act a certain way. Yes, coach, no coach, all that. They were awesome. So you definitely have their attention and their respect, which I saw because you were entertaining everybody out there and very impressive. You only get one first impression. You do as a player, coach, a person in life. And to me, seeing your program like that won me over. So that was pretty impressive, Coach. I'm excited that about you for the season, and I'm very, very honored that you came here on one of the greatest talk shows out there.
The greatest, Coach. Don't say one. No, take the title. Just take it right now. Shore Football Report. You got to listen every week. You got to.
It'll be on your video. The ShoreFootballReport.com is going to be the greatest website out there because, all right, I didn't just build it. I have other people building it too, but who cares? Whatever. Listen, this thing's going to grow word of mouth, just like your program. We got to make this thing big from my end so I can cover you guys. I can't wait to cover your guys. I love hearing different names. You and I are always a phone call away. I'm going to make Shore Conference football fun to watch. You're going to make it fun to watch from your sideline. I know that. I can't wait to watch your games. I'm real excited about the future that holds for you, Coach. You're a young and up-and-coming coach with a lot of great things on your resume. Really do.
And, Coach, I just appreciate you giving me an opportunity to come on and talk football because there's nothing better than just talking football with a football guy. I'm looking forward to watching what you do because, listen, I got it bookmarked. I got it on the favorites.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm following the pages. It's I'm looking forward because I appreciate your perspective of the game because it's an honest and true perspective of the game, and I think that's something that if you like high school football, if you love Shore Conference football, that's what you want. You want an honest evaluation and voice of it. And like I said in the beginning, you're going to kill it. You're going to absolutely crush it.
Ooh, I'm killing it now. I'm killing it now as we speak.
Yes,
man.
You are.
Listen.
You are.
I have so many people watching, so many views, except I'm one less view all the time. My wife refuses to listen to any of my coaches' talks because she says she hears me talk 24/7, but that's whatever. I can't get her to subscribe to my YouTube, and I'm going to have to do that. But, Coach, thank you very much. You want your program to not only be in the top 20 of our polls, what we have during the season, but the top 20 in social media view hits. That's what you want. You know you want it. You know you want it. Coach, when this thing's posted late tonight, get it rolling and let's get those views going and let's get Keyport into the top 20 views list. That's what we want. I want to see that. All right, Coach. Thank you. Best of luck to you, man. And it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Appreciate talking with you. Thanks, Coach.